The Los Angeles Dodgers defeated the Milwaukee Brewers 5-1, and for most teams, a loss like that stings but fades quickly. Not this time, because what unfolded near the Brewers' dugout after the final out did not fade. It spread across every baseball platform, every sports news desk, and every corner of the international baseball community within hours. And at the center of it all was the sport's biggest name, Shohei Ohtani. Before we get to the controversy, let's talk about what happened on the field, because Ohtani's performance in this game is being misread by almost everyone who looked at the box score. Yes, he went 0 for 3. Yes, his 9-game hitting streak came to an end. Yes, his 4-game RBI streak was snapped. And yes, his batting average dipped to .272. On paper, it looks like a quiet night. But anyone who watched this game closely knows that the box score tells almost none of the real story. Ohtani was the leadoff hitter and designated hitter for the Dodgers, and from the very first inning he made his presence felt in ways that statistics simply don't capture. In the first inning, he drew a walk off Brandon Woodruff, immediately putting pressure on the Brewers' defense. Kyle Tucker followed with a double, and Ohtani advanced to third base. The Dodgers had a genuine opportunity to strike early. Andy Pages came up with a chance to drive in the run, but lined out, a golden opportunity that slipped away. That's the kind of plate appearance Ohtani had all night, dangerous, disciplined, and difficult for any pitcher to navigate. In the second inning, the Dodgers found themselves with runners on first and second and 2 outs. Ohtani stepped in and worked the count all the way to 2-2. He got a curveball and drove it to the opposite field, solid contact, quality approach, but the left fielder made the catch. Frustrating, but it was the kind of at-bat that shows exactly why pitchers across the league treat every appearance by Ohtani as a high-alert situation. Then came the fourth inning, and this is where the game truly shifted. The Dodgers were trailing 1-0, and the situation was as high pressure as it gets, bases loaded, 2 outs, and Ohtani at the plate. Brandon Woodruff was on the mound, and even he could not escape the pressure that Ohtani's presence creates. On the second pitch of the at-bat, Woodruff threw a wild pitch. The runner scored from third. Just like that, the game was tied 1-1, and Ohtani had not even put the ball in play. He forced the mistake simply by being in the batter's box. He eventually grounded out to first on a low changeup, which ended the inning, but the damage was already done. A run scored, the game was level, and Ohtani had done it without recording a single hit. By the sixth inning, the Dodgers were building their lead, and Ohtani faced lefty Shane Drohan with 1 out and no runners on base. He did not wait. He attacked the first pitch, a slider, and made what many analysts called his best contact of the entire game. It was a deep fly ball to left field that came within feet of leaving the ballpark. It stayed in play, but the quality of the swing was unmistakable. His timing was sharp, his approach was locked in, and the near miss was a clear signal that Ohtani's rhythm at the plate is returning to full strength. In the ninth inning, with the Dodgers comfortably ahead, Ohtani faced Carlos Rodriguez. What he did in that at-bat is exactly the kind of thing that separates elite hitters from everyone else. He refused to chase a single pitch outside the strike zone. He worked the at-bat patiently, professionally, and drew his second walk of the game. 2 walks, a run batted in without a hit, the best contact of the game in the sixth, and relentless pressure on the opposing pitching staff from the first pitch to the last. That is what Ohtani's night actually looked like. Now, most post-game conversations following a Dodgers win would have centered on the pitching performance, the offensive contributions from the lineup, or what this result means for the standings. But what happened after the final out is what everyone is truly talking about tonight, and it has nothing to do with anything that occurred between the lines. After the game ended, cameras near the Brewers dugout captured Brewers manager Pat Murphy in conversation with reserve players and members of his coaching staff. What was caught on those cameras quickly became the story of the night. Murphy was repeatedly directing his attention toward the Dodgers dugout, where Ohtani was celebrating with teammates. His gestures and facial expressions, visible clearly in the footage, were widely interpreted as mocking and deliberately directed at Ohtani. But the visuals were only part of what made this incident escalate so rapidly. Microphones positioned near the dugout area picked up audio from the exchange. The recording was not entirely clear, but reporters who were present on the scene confirmed that the remarks appeared to directly downplay Ohtani's importance to the Dodgers and to the game itself. In the immediate aftermath, some observers assumed this was simply the frustration of a manager who had just watched his team lose by 4 runs. Post-game emotions run high in professional baseball, and managers are human beings. Many were willing to give Murphy the benefit of the doubt. That changed when Shohei Ohtani became aware of what had been captured on camera and confirmed by the reporters who were there. Because Ohtani did something that, for anyone who has followed his career, is extraordinarily out of character. He spoke out publicly. To understand the weight of what happened next, you have to understand who Shohei Ohtani is off the field. He is one of the most composed, reserved, and diplomatically careful athletes in professional sports. He does not engage in public disputes. He does not criticize opponents. He rarely speaks on anything controversial, and when he does, he chooses his words with extreme precision. For Ohtani to issue a public statement directed at a sitting manager is not a minor event. It is, by the standards of his career, an extraordinary moment. His statement was direct. "I cannot stay silent in the face of inappropriate behavior like this. We represent a sport built on tradition and fair competition. This is not only about me, but about how baseball should be represented." Read those words carefully because they carry specific meaning. He did not call for punishment. He did not single out Murphy by name in the quote itself. What he did was frame this as a matter of principle, that baseball as an institution has standards of conduct and that those standards were violated. When the most recognized player in baseball makes a statement like that, the sport is forced to pay attention. The reaction from the international baseball community was immediate and overwhelming. Ohtani has one of the largest and most passionate fan bases in the history of the sport, spanning Japan, South Korea, across Asia, and throughout the Americas. The support that poured in for him following the statement was not a minor online conversation. It was a global response from fans and analysts who made clear that this incident had registered far beyond the city of Milwaukee. Inside the Dodgers clubhouse, Ohtani was not standing alone. His teammates made their positions clear. The message from within the Dodgers organization was consistent. Fierce competition is unavoidable, but respect must always be maintained. That sentiment, expressed by multiple players in the aftermath, reflected a unified front. The Dodgers were not looking to escalate the situation into an ongoing feud, but they were equally unwilling to dismiss what had occurred. Manager Dave Roberts went further than his players. Roberts did not frame this as an internal team matter or a simple misunderstanding to be resolved quietly. He called directly on Major League Baseball to respond, and he did so publicly. Roberts made the case that the league's image, particularly at a time when baseball is working hard to grow its international audience, depends on how teams and their leadership conduct themselves, both during games and after them. The fact that Roberts went on record demanding a league response elevated this from a clubhouse grievance to a formal institutional matter. MLB confirmed that a full review of the incident has been launched. The league's investigation is comprehensive in scope. Officials are reviewing all available video footage from multiple camera angles. The audio recordings captured near the dugout, official umpire reports from the game, and conducting witness interviews from staff and personnel who were in the area at the time. This is not a preliminary look. This is a structured investigation with a clear mandate to determine exactly what was said and done, and whether it constitutes a violation of the league's standards of conduct. The potential consequences being discussed within the league are significant. Sources familiar with the review have indicated that the range of outcomes under consideration includes heavy fines, official formal warnings, and a temporary suspension from managing. A suspension, if ultimately imposed, would represent one of the more serious disciplinary actions taken against a manager in recent memory. The stakes of this investigation extend well beyond Pat Murphy and the Milwaukee Brewers. This matters for reasons that go beyond one post-game incident between two teams. Shohei Ohtani is not simply the best player in baseball. He is the most globally recognizable active athlete in the sport's history. His presence in Major League Baseball has directly contributed to the league's expansion in international markets, particularly in Asia, where his following transcends casual sports fandom and crosses into cultural phenomenon territory. How MLB responds when that player is the subject of misconduct by an opposing manager sends a message, not just to the teams involved, but to every international fan watching to see whether the sport treats its global ambassador with institutional seriousness. For the Milwaukee Brewers, the organizational implications of this incident are real and ongoing. Murphy's long-term position as manager will almost certainly be discussed in the context of how the investigation concludes. The Brewers are an organization that has worked to build credibility in the league, and a formal MLB disciplinary action against their manager, regardless of the final penalty, is not a footnote. It becomes part of the record. What makes this moment particularly significant is the combination of factors involved. The caliber of the player targeted, the rarity of that player's public response, the confirmation by independent journalists on the scene, and the speed with which MLB moved to open a formal review. Each of those elements individually would generate attention. Together, they have created one of the more serious off-field controversies in recent baseball history. Now, after a week that has included a hitless game in which he still drove in a run, forced a wild pitch with bases loaded, drew 2 walks, and made his best contact of the season, and after becoming the subject of a post-game incident that triggered a league investigation, Shohei Ohtani is scheduled to take the mound against the Colorado Rockies on May 27th at home. As a pitcher this season, Ohtani has been in exceptional form heading into the start. The Rockies represent a manageable matchup on paper, but Ohtani has never needed motivation to be sharp. After the events of this week, the emotional weight of the Murphy incident, the public statement, the global scrutiny, his next pitching start carries a dimension that goes beyond a routine regular season game. Every strikeout, every dominant inning, every moment where Ohtani lets his performance answer the questions being asked about his character and standing in the sport will be watched by millions of fans across the world. The question being asked in baseball circles right now is a simple one. Will Ohtani let his arm do the talking? Based on everything we know about who he is, the discipline, the preparation, the refusal to let outside noise affect what he does between the lines, the answer is almost certainly yes.